Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Hi, my name is Marissa. Thank you to those few people who have thank you to those who have thank you to those who have subscribed to my channel. I know it's only a little bit, but that little bit really made me happy, and I just want to thank those who subscribe, those who are going to subscribe. I thank you so much. You're literally angels, and I love you. With that, I have so many things planned for my channel, for the future of my channel, and etc. for future videos on. I have a lot. It's crazy. The first kind of video I kind of want to do for the future is a Q&A video, just so people can get to know me more better. So if you guys have any questions about my life, or like questions as like if you want to get to know me a little bit more better, then go ahead and leave those questions in the comments. And I decided for this video I'm gonna come at you guys with a little story time. Well, I have actually two story times, but I feel like this story time could be a little bit, just like a little bit helpful. Not so much, but like a little bit, maybe. If this ever happens to someone, they know what's happening. So this is the time I got my appendix taken out. Yeah, I got my appendix taken out. If you don't know what appendix is, I did not know what it meant either until they started telling me what it was. I was just like, I've never heard of that. I've never heard of anything inside the body until I got to high school. I did hear what's inside the body because of Mr. Goodbody. I kind of forgot all that stuff. I didn't really have any knowledge on it, but until I got into high school. And then when they told me about my appendix, what I had was appendicitis. Appendicitis is when your appendix gets really inflamed and it can burst, and you would have to get emergency surgery then. But if it doesn't, you would just have to get surgery, not emergency, but surgery before it does burst. And when it burst, I was informed that if it bursts, then it can affect the nearby organs around it or near it, and you could potentially. I was around, I'm gonna say 14, and it was around this time of the month. I got it out taken in July. I was 14, getting ready to be a freshman in high school, which is crazy to think about. That happened 3-4 years ago? That's crazy. But yeah, anyways, on with the story before I take up any more time. The day that I felt pain and everything was actually a pretty normal day. I felt no pain before anything. I lied. 2 months before this whole thing had happened, I felt similar pain to what I was feeling, which was kind of weird in a sense because it felt so similar, and I was doing similar things that was happening with my appendix 2 months before that, which was kind of weird. And back to the day where, I found out I had appendicitis. Well, my mom had just got done cooking dinner, and my stomach started to hurt. I was like, it's probably the food, and I wanted to go see if my mom knew if there was anything wrong with what she had made. And I asked her, and she was like, no, we just barely got the food, nothing should be wrong with it. She was like, just go lay down, maybe you'll feel better in a little bit, maybe it's just something that didn't mix well that you had throughout the day. So I went into the living room to go lay down, and I was watching TV, and my stomach progressively got worse. It felt like a stomach ache. Honestly, I'm not gonna say it was like the worst pain ever, because I don't know what any other pain feels like, but like it hurt a lot. I'm told that I have a high pain tolerance, and it hurt me really bad. So that kind of tells you something. But yeah, I felt like a really bad stomach ache, and it got to the point where I felt really nauseous and I felt like I needed to throw up. So I went to the bathroom, threw up, and my mom was like, "Did you throw up?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Okay, then I might feel better." And I was like, maybe. I went back, grabbed some water, went to go lay back down. It didn't feel any better. And I kept feeling like I needed to throw up. Like, I felt like I needed to throw up every minute that passed by after I was done throwing up. And I kept rushing back and forth to the bathroom, and that kind of got my mom a little bit annoyed, because we lived in a tiny little townhouse apartment. My room, her room, and the bathroom were like really close together. So you basically heard everything. Yeah, she was getting kind of annoyed that I was running back and forth to the bathroom, and she was like, "Why are you running back and forth to the bathroom?" I was like, "I keep feeling like I need to throw up every minute that passes by after I throw up." And my mom was like, "What the heck?" And she was like, "Well, if anything, if you don't feel better by the time I go pick up your dad, well then I'm gonna have to take you to the hospital." And I was like, "Okay." When she left to go pick up my dad, things weren't better. I was in my room crying because it hurt so bad. So I was in my room crying, just trying to go to sleep, thinking, if I go to sleep, maybe it would feel better. It did not. While I was sleeping, it was just hurting. My parents came back home, and my mom saw how much I was crying, and she's like, "Yeah, that's not normal. She doesn't look normal at all." They were figuring out what to do, because I kept telling them, because they kept asking me to describe how the pain was, and I was just like, it felt like how it did the last time. My mom was like, "Yeah, that's not normal. It's happening 2 times. And so she was like, "Yeah, we're going to the hospital." So they ended up taking me to the hospital. When we arrived at the hospital, I was still in pain, and nurses kept called me back to ask me some questions, as just asking me questions, medical questions. After that, they had took me back into a room. They made me pee in a cup so they could take a pregnancy test. A pregnancy test. I was like, "Honey, I'm a child of God." I've been a child of God since birth. And the fact that you need to get naked to make a baby, since they did those tests on me, they were like, "Well, we're gonna take you in to get a little CAT scan." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." They started to put the IV thing in me, and at first they could not find my vein. They were trying to find my vein in both arms, and they couldn't find it, so they had to bring in an ultrasound, and they brought that in, found it, and gave me the IV. The next thing was that they took me into the CAT scan room. And going into the CAT scan room, that place was really cold. I was like, why does this need to be cold in here? It was freezing cold. Getting into the CAT scan room, if you don't know what a CAT scan looks like, I'll put a picture up here somewhere. But getting to there, she was like, "Okay, so when you lay down on the CAT scan table thing, I'm gonna put a little bit of medicine in your IV thing, and it's gonna feel like you peed." And I was like, I don't like that feeling, but okay. And she put the medicine thing into my IV. I felt nothing. I didn't feel anything down there like I peed. So I was just like, I'm rocking, I'm cool. So the lady was also telling me that there's gonna be a little voice that's gonna tell me when to breathe and when not to breathe. So she went back into her room. I don't know what room it was, but there was her and a man in there, and I was waiting for the little voice to come on, and I think I waited about 2 minutes for the little voice to come on, and I was just like, when is it gonna come on? And so when it finally came on, it scared me half to death, and I had jumped, and I was like, you mother trucker. And so I heard the nurse and the guy that was controlling the CAT scan in the back laughing at me, and I was just like, you don't need to laugh at me. After that, they took me back to my room, told me that my results wouldn't be back for like I think another 2-3 hours. It didn't take 2 or 3 hours for me to get my results back. They came back in like 30 minutes, and the doctor was like, yeah, she has appendicitis, and she explained what appendicitis was, and basically told me if I waited maybe like a day or two, it could have burst, and I could have been dead. And then when my brother heard that, he started crying, so I looked over at him, and I almost started crying. And then the doctor looked at me, who was almost about to cry, and she looked at my brother, who was crying, and she looked like she was about to cry because we were both crying, but I was like, I know I should not be crying because I'm not dead, but the fact that my brother's crying just makes me want to cry. But they had no child doctor there, so that they would have to transfer me to a children's hospital, and that they were going to transfer me to a children's hospital. So they transferred me to a children's hospital, got to the children's hospital. It was a nice fancy room. I was like, they did not take me to one of these fine resorts. I'm going to see a Fruit Loops bird. That night my mom had stayed with me. We got to meet the doctor. The doctor basically told me my surgery was going to be like at 10 a.m. the next morning. Basically what was going to happen, what they were going to do. And then the next morning, we were getting ready, and we were waiting for them to come for me for the surgery. And the lady came in with a gown and basically told me everything of every part, like anything I had on, any piece of clothing I had on needed to come off. And I was just like, I got into the gown, I got onto the little bed that they were taking me in, went into pre-operation, where I just basically stayed until they were ready for me to go into surgery. My mom was there with me half of the time, but family members kept coming in and out to see me. They called like family members before the surgery, and they were just in and out to see me, and I was just like, I'm not gonna die, am I? Then this nurse came in right before I was gonna go, and she's like, are you ready to go? And I was like, sure. And she was like, yeah, you're getting both your appendix taken out. And I was like, run that back again? And she was like, yeah, both of your appendix. She was like, no, I'm just playing. And I was like, thank God, because I was only here to get one. Yeah, so after that, she had taken me into the surgical room, and laid me on top of the bed, on top of the surgery table. The anesthesiologist basically put anesthesia in me, told me when to count down. I don't think I got down to 9, maybe even 7, and I was out, woke up, and after op. And they transferred me back into my room. The ladies that were transferring me back into my room were like, hey, if you feel any pain, just let me know so I can shoot some medicine to your IV. And I was like, okay. So when they transferred me back into my room and then back into the bed, I felt a little bit of pain, and they were just like, I was just like, ow. And I was like, I felt pain. And she was like, yeah, well, you just got transferred back into your bed. And I was like, oh, well, then you don't have to be a little bitch about it, but thank you though. I was lying there, and mind you, I could not eat. The night before. I could not eat the morning of the surgery, obviously, or after the surgery, like any solid foods. I kind of had to eat like soup after the surgery, but I had to wait a long time. Yeah, that night my dad had stayed with me. I got to eat soup. I also got to eat ice cream. This nurse came in and was like, "You want some ice cream, sweetie?" And I was like, "You're a real one." So she gave me ice cream, chocolate ice cream, my favorite kind of ice cream. The next morning after the surgery, I got to eat real solid food. And I know most people don't like hospital food, but this hit different because I didn't eat anything before, so it kind of hit different. Before I had left, they were just telling me, "Hey, you're gonna have to stay like off your feet for a little bit, or like you can't do things excessively." And I was like, okay. I didn't want to because 2 days after my surgery, I had to go to the mall with my friends for like school shopping. I basically told my parents like, how am I gonna go? And they were just like, well, just don't do it excessively. Like, don't walk excessively. Just like take breaks when you need to. I got a free week pass of not being able to do my chores, but I ended up having to do them anyways just because my brother didn't do them right, and I didn't want to be the one to get yelled at, which I wasn't, but I felt like I was, but I wasn't. I ended up doing them anyways, and then 2 days later, 2 days later, went to the mall with my friends, and yeah, so if you liked this story time, then go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you thought this story time was interesting, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of me, go ahead and subscribe. If you've ever got your appendix taken out, please let me know down in the comments. Like, tell me about your story, like what went on, or if you know anybody. Let me know, because I want to see how many people this has happened to. Okay, I'm going to say this again. Again, I want to do a Q&A for a future video, or like maybe the next video. I don't know, depending on how many questions I get asked. But yeah, leave your questions down in the comments, and I will get to those in the next video, or maybe in the next future video. I don't know. That was the time I got my appendix taken out. So again, if you liked this video, if you found it interesting in any way, please give it a like. And if you want to see more of me, go ahead and subscribe. There's gonna be petitions to sign down in the description below, so make sure to go sign those if you haven't already. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys back in the next few videos and in the next video. Bye guys.